Boy, oh boy, have I waited a long time to show you guys this one. This is the Meridian, and he is quite simply the largest mech I have ever built, standing at 12.5 inches tall and made up of just under 2,000 pieces. He's got an impressive array of thrusters around the back, 2 solar-powered plasma cannons up top, some robot compartments in his legs, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a small workspace. This is also the first mech I have ever built that I will be submitting to LEGO Ideas for consideration to be made into an official LEGO set. So if you really like this build and you want to see it turned into an official LEGO set, it would mean so much to me if you can click the link in my pinned comment and go vote for it over on the LEGO Ideas website. Alright, let's get into it. First things first, Meridian is really big. Here he is next to Cole's Titan mech, here he is next to a LEGO City set, and here he is next to Tahu Nuva Toa of Fire, released in 2003. Now like I said, this was about 2,000 pieces worth of weight that I had to make sure didn't topple over or crumble under itself. And I did learn a lot from Cole's Titan mech as far as making limbs strong, but even so, this is an entire apartment's worth of chest space that needs to be supported. So some of the techniques just didn't quite translate and I had to come up with my own. For example, these tripled up ball joints in his legs were immediately proven not to be strong enough after Meridian took a dramatic pitch off a coffee table and shattered on my living room floor. This traumatic experience led to me installing these classic Bionicle style piston joints in the back of his knees. You see they go down from his ankles all the way up into the back of his thighs and make his entire legs just rock solid. He's also got a waist swivel, which actually is not a ratcheting joint like you might expect. It's just a free turning Technic turntable, but it is reinforced by these small Mixel style ball joints that go from his upper waist into his lower back and also provide nice limitation, stopping his waist from rotating too far since Meridian does tend to be a little bit back heavy. His arms are pretty stock standard, using the very heavy Technic ratcheting joints for the shoulders so he can go forward and backwards and in and out. Very classic ball joints at the elbows and wrists, and also I really like how his hands look. You see he's got 4 different articulating fingers and 1 sort of articulating thumb. It's just a stud connection, but I guess that still counts. This pauldron was very fun to design, and it is mounted on 2 battle droid arm pieces, and the geometry works out in such a way that it is very good at just kind of getting out of the way when the arms are swung outward, which is very handy for me. The head is mounted very simply and can swivel back and forth and sort of look up and down, but not super well. The plasma cannons are also on ball joints so they can swivel independently and pick their targets. Now Meridian is a pretty big mech, but he's also meant to be a pretty big spaceship. The idea when I was building him is that he would be designed for long journeys into deep space, looking for new planets to chart and new colonies for humankind to inhabit. Assuming nobody already lives there, of course. With this in mind, let's take a look at some of his more spaceship-y features, starting with these 4 massive thrusters around his back, as well as the smaller ones down along the backs of his legs. Down at his ankles, you can see he has 4 maneuvering thrusters on each leg, which help him steer around when he's in the void of space. Up top, behind his head, there's a rack of supplies to keep his pilot provisioned on her long journeys. And actually, if you look down at his chest, you can see the pilot sitting in her cockpit behind this large green windscreen, which is actually 3 windscreens put together. Also, on either side of the windscreens, I like these little vents. They're very simple techniques, but I like how they look. The cockpit was also designed to open so you can have a look at the pilot. Her name is Heather, sitting at her controls. The chair is actually on a little bit of a boom, so I imagine it can kind of auto-adjust and keep the pilot from moving around too much when the mech is walking. I also want to take a second and show you guys Meridian's head, just because I'm really proud of it. He's got all these different lenses and sensors making up his sort of face. It gives him a really interesting look. I think he looks formidable but not intimidating, if that makes any sense. And I also like his little double antenna up here. Plus, if you open up the little hatch on the top of his head, he's got an encouraging message on his mind. Now, while Meridian was mainly designed for exploration, I did include a few self-defense weapons. I didn't want him to be too armored up since he's not really meant for combat, but I tried to keep him at what I considered to be about a Star Wars level of violence. There's 2 torpedo tubes mounted under his cockpit, and of course the 2 massive solar-powered plasma cannons mounted on his shoulders, which I call the sun guns. As you can see, I took advantage of the many shades of transparent green to create this kind of glowing cannon effect, make it look like the cannons are charging up and ready to fire. Now, Meridian has stuff in his legs. There's these little compartments on either side that can open up, and they kick out a little package. If you come around to this side, also opens, and it's mostly the same. Taking a closer look at them, they look like a pair of compact little boxes, but once you unfurl these little winglets, you can see they actually become a pair of flying drones. And I like to think these can either be used in like surveying a new planet, or even in like assisting in a dogfight should Meridian get attacked while he's in the depths of space. They do have these little self-defense cannons right there, and then flipping them around you can see a pair of thrusters around the back. They're very small, they're kind of cute. I'm just very happy with them. Look how good they are. Whoosh. Of course, Meridian does have 2 more hatches on the insides of his legs, so we'll see what's in those. This one's gonna fall out, I'm quite certain. There it is. We'll get to that one, because he's the more fun of the 2. So the first package is just this very simple weapons rack. Got a couple blasters for Heather to use when she's on her adventures. Once again, all in the name of self-defense. But the other one is this little robot that I like to call Stubby. And he's just a fun little cute guy who can walk around on her many adventures. You see he's got a little battery pack around the back, keeping him powered up and charged. And I just love how he looks. He's like a little R2-D2 type. I like to imagine that he has the same onboard AI as the full Meridian mech suit has, so this is kind of her way of just keeping Meridian with her even when she's not with the ship. But what about when she is with the ship? How does she get in? Well, I like to think Meridian just gives her a hand. Just lifts up like this, a little bit of Titanfall action, while Heather is in the palm of his hand, and then she can just jump right over. Once she's up there, his head kind of folds back like this, and you can see the hatch with even got the ladder up there, and that drops down into the bowels of the mech, and you just climb on in. Gulp. However, for us non-minifigure types, you can just lift this entire section off all as one, and also move the small supply rack for better access to the inside. With the top sections removed, we can get a better look at the interior of the mech, which is really hard to get a camera into, but I will do my best. From here, you can get a better look at the back of the captain's chair, and from this side you can see a small glass door, which is leading into the next room. Can you believe there's multiple rooms on a mech? This angle gives us a good look at the sleeping quarters, which I had a lot of fun building. Obviously you can see the orange futuristic looking space bed. There's a couple of drinks on the bedside table, which I imagine are just the result of a lazy night spent inside, a video game controller, and also an old-timey sailing map. From this angle, you can see the flat screen TV at the foot of the bed, which I imagine correlates with the video game controller, and a small potted plant, which I imagine is probably fake because there's not a lot of sunlight in deep space. It's sort of tough to see, but underneath the bed there is a small microwave oven for heating up frozen rations, and next to it is just a carton of something. Definitely not milk like the piece implies, because that would obviously go bad and be gross. So it's something else. This corner is meant to be a small workbench. You can see a rack of tools there, as well as a spool of wire kind of hung up on the wall. The piece of paper is meant to represent a list of repairs, some of which have been completed and some of which are TBD. In this corner you can see a small coffee maker with a mug, and above that is kind of just meant to be a general control panel that would control the internal temperature, humidity, all the things that make the interior space comfortable. And I like to think it also plays music, so you can listen to the radio. And down underneath the workspace there's a small fridge for holding the aforementioned frozen rations, and a small medical kit, just in case. Now, even harder to get a camera into is this very small bathroom/storage space. You can see a red fire extinguisher up on the wall there. Underneath that, the white thing is actually meant to be a flip-down toilet, flips down to save space, and behind that is Heather's spacesuit just stored up against the wall. Over on the other wall is a small nozzle, which I imagine can be removed from the wall and either used to spray down the spacesuit or spray down yourself if it's been a while. And that is it. That is the Meridian. Guys, I am so excited to be finally sharing this with you. I had so much fun building him. I feel like I learned a lot from it. It was just a great time. Again, if this is a build you like and you want to see it converted into official Lego set form, I would really appreciate it if you can click the link in my pinned comment and go vote for him over on Lego Ideas. Other than that, it's been great to show this with you. I promise the next video will come out not in a year. I'll be faster. I'm sorry. I love you.